This is Happy Monkey.
This is Happy Monkey.
Happy Monkey. Happy Monkey.
This is Happy Monkey.
Hello, no one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
Yo, it's the world famous Eddie Clever here shouting out my motherfucking dogs. My motherfucking monkeys. The happy monkeys, that is, holding it down. You know what I'm saying? New York City's finest when it comes to the finest thing. You know what I'm saying? Hold it down, baby. Let's get it.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we are here with somebody super legendary, baby. Not legendary, I'll say like present legendary, because sometimes we like to call people legendary that are in the past, but this guy's right here, right now in the present, everybody. Real important person, does a lot of activism. And just a genuine good person. So this is a person that you just want around, just in general, right? Everybody,
it's an honor and a pleasure to have this man who wears many hats.
Yes,
Civil
sir.
rights leader,
Yes, sir.
chairman of Black Lives Matter New York, my
Yes,
brother
sir.
from another mother, Hawk Newsome.
Yes,
Round
sir,
of
man.
applause, ladies and gentlemen, for the man, the myth, the legend.
yes,
I
sir.
appreciate
The
that.
Boulevard with his presence.
Say it loud, baby.
Well, I'm black and I'm proud.
That's right.
Right on.
Yes, sir. So please, ladies, my brother Hawk, introduce everybody. Reintroduce yourself and tell them all the things that you do.
Oh, man. I'm only one man with one voice, right? Part of this massive movement, which is the new civil rights movement. Right now, I like for you all to appreciate the time that we're living in. This is one of the greatest times to be alive in the history of the world. We are changing civil rights as we know it. We are changing women's rights, and we are saving the planet. Like,
Yes, sir.
future generations, if we do this the right way, will look back and be like, it was them. It was them, right? And it's all of us doing our part. Like y'all doing your thing here on the cannabis front.
Absolutely.
We out here, we in the streets, we in the halls of legislature, making noise, organizing our communities. So it's an honor to be here amongst good folks, and I'm ready to dive in, man.
Oh man, it's an honor to have you, my friend.
Right on.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna just kick it off with a real simple, maybe a question that people probably ask and they don't know. And I'm curious, why name it Black Lives Matter? Why not call it Negro Lives Matter? Why not call it Color People Lives Matter? Why not call it All Lives Matter?
Yeah.
Why not call it Minorities Lives Matter? Why black?
It's amazing how this came about. It was three sisters, right? And one of which wrote a letter to black people around the time of the Trayvon Martin thing, and George Zimmerman got away with killing that kid,
Yeah,
right?
he
We know
murdered
everybody knows the story.
Yeah.
And at the end of this beautiful letter, one of them hashtag Black Lives Matter, right? And then it just started growing, and it grew from there to here to, you're down in Ferguson, you're protesting, you're here for Eric Gardner, you're protesting. So it just, it morphed into this amazing movement. And what's really interesting is my ability to flip this back on everyone who would say, well, why call it Black Lives Matter? But you have Jewish organizations like the Anti-Defamation League, Jewish Federation. These are people fighting for Jewish people, right?
So they do the same thing you do, just a different name. They
That's
call it.
it.
Different. Yeah, right.
But I'm all about making people uncomfortable, right? Because growth comes
It's
with being
Absolutely.
uncomfortable,
It's a
right?
necessity.
So this institution called white supremacy, which pretty much oppresses people who are of color, it oppresses women. And what it does is it puts white men at the top of this hierarchy, right? This patriarchy. And anyone who is not like them, they have a problem. And a lot of people are like, oh, Hawk, you're causing division. No, I'm just speaking the truth. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying
a spade.
That's it, right? Double entendre. But but the fact of the matter is, it's the truth. Like if you throw a brick into a pig pen, it's the one that squeals that got hit. You know what I mean?
Basically.
So if you're not this greedy person who's out to oppress people who are not like you, then why would me saying that bother you? Right? Like
It's like that shoe fit. Only if the shoe fits, you wear it.
That's it.
And if you're wearing it, it's because it fits you.
That's it. So, Black Lives Matter is exactly what it is. America has never done right by black people. And it's time that changes. So we are here saying Black Lives Matter. Now, do we fight for other people? The first protest in New York, when Trump started the immigration raids, right? This affected the Latinx community. This affected our Muslim brothers and sisters. I was on the front lines, okay, leading a march.
All the oppressed people.
Exactly. And I use that term loosely. I wasn't leading. I wasn't a chief organizer, but I was present. And the police targeted me.
You're ready to support anybody that's being oppressed.
That's it. Right? Like that's it. So I was harmed during that march, and actually have a lawsuit going against the city of New York because of the way they treated me. But the bottom line is I'm putting my life on the line for everybody. But my focus is black people, right? You got a neurosurgeon.
Right.
And he's a brain surgeon, but somebody falls out in the street. He's going to try and help because he has a wealth of knowledge. And that's just what it is.
Basically.
Well said, my brother. We want to get into, I've been doing a little due diligence and watching myself. This show that you're involved with, Cop Watch on BET, can you elaborate a little bit on it and what's the whole concept and what it's about?
Wow. Okay, so Cop Watch America is a docuseries, right? If you look at it, it kind of looks like a reality show sometimes. But it's a docuseries that shows us in our activism and also monitoring the police. A lot of people don't understand one of the strongest weapons you have against police brutality is your cell phone. Right now. So if they're,
and you're rightfully so to use it.
That's it. So if they're mistreating somebody, you pull out your cell phone, you start recording. That's how we got Eric Garner, right?
Yeah.
That's how Oscar Grant out in California, like when he was shot in the train station, Fruitville Station.
Yes,
that's how Michael B. Jordan got put on the map,
Yes,
right? And you pull out your cell phone and it changes their behavior. And that's anybody. That's black people, that's white people, that's Latinx people. Anyone who pulls out their cell phone, if the cop has the presence of mind, he's going to slow down. And that's helpful. That might save a life.
Because these things have been going on for a long time, but only now because of technology are they coming to fruition and to the light for the world to see.
Think back, right? When they recorded Rodney King being beat, that lit Los Angeles on fire. Literally. Because everybody knew it was happening. But wait, oh my God, it's right there. It's on my TV screen.
Exactly.
It's in my face. So I applaud BET for taking this chance to show our activism, but to pull the curtain back and show me with my autistic son. Right, show me with my little 2-year-old daughter. Show another single mother on the show with 3 kids who's running around fighting for our people daily.
Yeah.
Like you get to see, like, okay, they're not crazy.
Yeah, you guys are human beings. You're not just running
Exactly.
around being this like
Exactly.
This, of course, you're Hawk. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, but you're named after a superhero. My
Hey.
brother, you know what I mean? And you're a big black brother. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of comparison when it comes to that. So you're a strong superhero type. You know what I'm saying? But people need to understand that the superhero has a family. You know what I mean? So I'm glad that that
Yeah, and it's something. A lot of people don't see me as vulnerable. Because I'm 6'5", I'm 290 on a good day, and I'm always screaming, I'm always yelling, I'm facing down politicians, fighting for rights, pushing legislation. I'm standing up to the cops and saying, no, you're wrong, you're not doing this anymore. Things that average people don't necessarily have the courage to do. I do that, so people look at me like, okay, he's Hulk, but
Right.
they don't understand how I be
Yeah.
stressed out. You know what
still
it's like
stressed out.
to
They still
wake up,
bothering you.
right?
Yeah,
You
they
wake
still
up in the
harassing
morning,
you.
everybody and their mother challenge you on social media. Oh, this one, that one, like what? And then you wake up. Man, listen, what did he say? First the fat boys break up, and every day I wake up, somebody got something to say.
You know what's the other part that is very important for everybody out there on the boulevard and Happy Monkey World to know? It's obvious your physical attributes, right? But a lot of people don't know your brain power, how you're paralegal, how you have law all year. Can you tell people, elaborate on everybody about your extensive
Yeah,
knowledge
you're not
and
just this
intellect?
wild big black brother running around in the street.
That's the
screaming
part
at me.
that people
You
need
know.
to know.
Yeah, and tying it back to the show, this is what people get to say now. Now, I am, I guess, I'm trained as a lawyer. I went to Toro Law School. I went to Howard University School of Law.
Shout out to Howard.
Right? Shout out to HU, you know. And a lot of people don't know that, and I don't wear it on my sleeve, right? So I'll sit down to a debate, or somebody will challenge me, and they don't understand that I'm
You're equipped.
I'm built for this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm ready to back what I'm saying with laws, with legislation. So that's it's truly an honor. And what people don't realize is I dropped out of high school, right? So I have a GED. I always joke and call it a good enough degree.
Good enough degree.
Right? I have a good enough degree, and I also have this Juris Doctorate degree. And it's I always say that people like us, like everybody in this room, we are twice as smart as the successful American, right, who is not our color, so to speak, who didn't have our background, because we have to learn how to survive in the streets. We have to learn how to overcome and endure poverty and all the mental stress that comes along with it, all the physical stress. And then we have to learn how to function in this world that is nothing like the world we grew up in. So so I'm blessed. Like,
Not only that,
so
we gotta succeed like twice. You know what I mean? Like you gotta be a super straight A student, to stand out and all these things. Right?
Absolutely.
So you gotta go extra hard.
Man, you don't understand.
You gotta survive in the jungle, in the garden, and in the forest.
Right on.
Pretty much.
Oh, that's heavy. That's heavy. That's heavy. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, my man is the street poet here. We
For
got my
real.
man, the street poet.
He
So,
like Harlem Socrates.
Yeah, there you go. I like that one.
So, Hawk, because of course, what the show is about. So we need to ask you, of course, a little bit about your extensive, what your encounter and what your experience and relationship has been with cannabis during Hawk's journey on this earth.
Yeah, so what's the first time you got high? Did you ever get high?
Oh,
Or did
man.
You ever,
I used to
let
get
us know.
higher than a giraffe's uterus. Yeah. Oh, wow. So, I guess the first time I knew that I wanted to smoke weed, my dad was an avid chess player. And all his friends would come to the house and they'd roll joints.
Okay,
They'd
so
roll...
the smarts come from Daddy O. Huh?
Oh, right
Daddy
on.
smart. All
Yeah,
right, all right.
that's a fact.
Okay.
So they would roll up out of those little yellow envelopes, and back then it was reefer.
Yeah, reefer.
Yeah, it was reefer. So I used to always smell it, and then as I got older, I just started seeing all these insides of cigars in the neighborhood. And I'm like, Phillies? What's all this talk about Phillies? So,
Right.
I'm getting interested. And then Dr. Dre dropped the Chronic. Right? Right? And then it's like, what? It's like weed culture. And at the same time, Illmatic came out.
Oh, man,
so
yeah,
it was,
so it was
oh
a
my
lot,
God.
yeah.
So it's like, okay, I'm getting high right now. And it was so funny. So I used to go, and we used to, my parents used to give me like $5-10 a day. So we'd buy nickel bags and,
Nickel bags, baby.
We'd get our Phillies and our White Owls.
White
Right?
Owls,
White Owl
yeah.
blunts. And we were smoking my friend's staircase. I was smoking weed for a month before I got high. I don't know what I was doing.
Right, you was just trying to like.
I was trying hard, but that day I got high. I was high.
Did you get
Okay.
like the giggles? You get the munchies?
Man,
What you get?
I thought I was dying, bro. I was like smoky, right? So literally we smoked and we went upstairs to his house, and I had a Carhartt. New Yorkers know I had a Carhartt hoodie on, and I'm on his bed hurt. Everybody's laughing at me. And then I never forget Everlast. You remember Everlast, the rapper?
Yes.
He was on Arsenio Hall.
Yeah.
And
this is when he left House of Pain.
This
He
was
in House of Pain,
exactly. And then you know, I went out, I watched the show, and then I was a pothead. And every day before school, homeroom was at 10 o'clock. I meet my girlfriend, Daisy, right? She was an exceptional woman. She was about 20, 21, still in high school. And just built and beautiful. And I was kind of cool. Like, I meet her on the back of the 4 train at the Yankee Stadium stop.
Okay.
She was already on the train. She'd come and sit on my lap. We'd fire up a blunt on the train. That was old school New York. And I would get off in a couple of stops, and I would go to my friend's house, and I'd bang on his window. He'd get up out of the bed. We'd go down to the Jamaican spot, get some more herbs.
The Jamaicans.
And then we'll get a nice buzz going before homeroom. And actually, in reality, my man's uncle, we used to call him Mr. Busha, a Jamaican dude. Mr. Busha, right? And he set us up with a store. Right?
Oh, nice.
A store, and we had weed, and you know, we were getting money.
Yeah.
We were entrepreneurs
Absolutely.
at that time, which is appreciated now.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
But when NYPD stormed the building, they didn't treat us like entrepreneurs.
Yeah,
you know what I
all.
mean?
Not
They
at
treat us like ultra poor niggas. But so yeah, man, like all through college, you know, I played basketball. I always smoked bud. I'll never forget, because you know, you have some people that smoke and you have some people that smoke.
Yes.
I remember being in the Palladium, right?
Yeah, so he
Palladium.
smoked.
Yeah, the Palladium,
The
right?
Palladium.
And we'd be in there with rappers who made songs about weed, and we were out smoking them, right? And we would walk in with so many cigars in our pocket, the security guard would be like, what's wrong with y'all?
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying to prove? But yeah, man, so that was it.
The Palladium days.
Right on, the good old days.
How was it growing
was
up
there
in the
smoking.
Bronx, and what area of the Bronx did you grow up in?
Oh, I'm from the South Bronx, 163 Shiesty Ave, 164. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So,
South Bronx.
South Bronx.
Bronx.
That's not
Right
too far
on.
from like
Bronx.
Soundview around there, right?
Soundview is a few blocks up. It's like over in the other direction, but you know, couple blocks down. Big Pun, Fat Joe, Forest Projects, Homeboys Only, HBO. Like a lot of my neighborhood, my block was real heavy in the graffiti scene. Was real heavy in the hip hop scene. Like a lot of DJs, like a lot of rappers would always just come
come
and
from
kick
that
it.
area.
Yeah, I was a kid though. You know, I
Yeah.
would dance, but I was playing Skelsies in the
Yeah.
streets.
But the culture was alive and well in the
Oh
neighborhood.
my God, yeah, it was ever present. You know, you had the crime, and that's what people like to talk about. But I just remember the beauty of the
Yes,
neighborhood. I
yes,
remember
yes.
Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, West Indians, Africans, everybody.
The unity
just,
of the neighborhood back
that's
then.
it, right? We all play together. We played dominoes. we eat at each other's
man.
houses.
Everybody's parents knew each other.
Exactly.
The grocery store person knew all your kids. You could send the kids to the store. With all this crime they was talking about what's happening, but you could send your kids to the store and everything gonna be okay because everybody in the neighborhood know the kid.
That's it.
You know,
And it didn't matter what nationality, what you were. This is our neighborhood.
Our
exactly.
neighborhood.
That's
And we
what it
dare
was.
you to
That's
come
it.
through and test it.
That was how it was, right?
Yeah, that's just how it was. But I was a good kid, man. I was a L7. I was a square. Like my parents, they weren't having it. You know, we was in church every week, but I was kind of like a cool nerd. You know what I mean? Which is like where hip hop is now. Right,
Right.
Like these young dudes is like weirdos by
Yeah,
standards back then. I was
Absolutely,
like a little
absolutely.
weirdo back then, like
Right.
riding
And
skateboards.
I can imagine with your physical figure, the nerd thing, I could imagine you must have had a lot of people not misinterpret that.
Man, listen, I did not like fighting. I was not violent, and I paid dearly. I got beat up by girls. I got beat up by everybody. And then I hit 17. I was like,
Shit
nah.
changed.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's going to stop. No. You know what's real funny? I hit 17 and I got a bit more aggressive, right? Which comes with, I guess, becoming a man. But what I imagine a lot of people who see me on the front lines of this movement just really fearless. like through the power of God, fearless in this movement. They look at me and be like, "Wait, this was this little sweet kid." You know what I mean? Like,
What they do to him?
Yeah, what happened? But that's what injustice does to me. That's what bullies do to me.
There
You
you
know
go.
what I mean?
The
Like,
bu-
when
that-
I
that's
hate-
what it is. The
Yeah,
bully.
the
Yeah,
bully thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of bullies, right? I want to get into something that I've been watching recently closely. I want to talk about how they were trying to bully our brother Byron Allen, these big corporations, Viacom and Comcast. And I saw you were at the front lines with him, so I want you to elaborate on a little bit on what the definition of corporate bullying is.
Well, real quick before you hit that, tell everybody who Byron Allen is.
Oh man, Byron Allen is a beast. He is a black man who most of us grew up seeing on TV late at night, like a
Comedy.
comedian, and you never really
Hosting. Yeah, he was
He
like
was like a
hosting
regular,
things.
like
Yeah.
C-list dude, but nobody knew that he was accumulating billions of dollars, right? So he amassed this money. He started buying channels. He started making major plays in entertainment, and then he tried to make a move against Comcast. He tried to buy some of their channels. And he was pushed out. And the most reasonable conclusion that he could come up with, it was because he was black. And
Because he was doing everything by law,
Everything.
according to what I saw when I was doing my due diligence,
Exactly.
that he actually had to go back to the law and break down to them how they're breaking it by trying to exclude him.
exactly, and he did that. He hired his attorneys, and he just pretty much said there's discrimination in these business dealings. So the first case he lost. He appealed it. Excuse me. He lost the first case. He appealed it. He won the second case, and then they just kept fighting it through the courts. And Comcast elevated it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court. If you try it and go through the legal steps, okay, if you don't feel like you received justice or you were treated unfairly in the lower courts, you could file a petition with the Supreme Court. And what the Supreme Court does is they grant certiorari, okay? And that's their ability to handpick cases that they want to hear. Now, what makes Byron Allen's case so important is Comcast is challenging his right to the first civil rights protection that this country granted us, right? And that's fairness in business dealings. So they're like, okay, listen, we're not going to give you your 40 acres and a mule, right? But we'll give you fairness in business dealings. And that's the case that they took to the Supreme Court. And what it means is, like, folks who look like us, if they're being shut out by corporations who don't look at us, like look at the weed industry, right? And if you were to come up and say, you know what, I'm being treated unfairly because I am a person of color, you won't be able to do that if Comcast is successful against Byron Allen. They're taking that protection
So
away from us.
that's gonna go across all aspect of business in all industries.
Bro, we're talking everything from housing to small businesses to big business like telecommunications, and Comcast is this giant. Like, if you really looked at how much they control, and as Malcolm X once said, he who controls the media controls the minds of the public. Like, they have so much control. And we were also fighting them on this Stars Network thing. We all love 50 Cent. We all
Yeah, I
love
remember.
Power.
I saw that about Power too. It's a similar situation, correct?
Yeah, they weren't, like, this is one of the highest ranking black shows. Like, Power came in about 2 years ago, right behind Game of Thrones. And what they were doing was they were taking stars off of their package and making the folks who like Power, people who look like us, go out and spend an extra $13, $15 to buy the app. And what we call that was a black tax. So we launched an operation in 4 different cities. And this wasn't stereotypical activism. This was us going knocking on doors, us collecting signatures. But we also had city governments in Philadelphia, as well as Washington, D.C., agreed to launch investigations into Comcast business dealings.
Nice.
So we are truly effective in our organizing. So if we step out and we push forward on an issue, it's like, yeah, we out in the street screaming with bullhorns, but you better know that we are at these politicians and that we are rallying the community and bringing people together so that they know what's going on.
And you know, from what I see, you do your due diligence to be able to battle them legally also.
Yeah, because, like, if you really want change, it'll come through the law. Short of a complete revolution, which none of us want.
Right.
Nobody wants bloodshed and all of that. That we don't. That's the last resort. But this country was founded by crooks. Oh wait, Hawk. What you mean it was founded by crooks? Yo, who other than crooks would make the Fifth Amendment? Damn. Let me write into this governing doctrine, which is the Constitution of the United States of America, that I have the right not to incriminate myself.
Basically.
Like, what? Are you kidding me? Yeah. So you think about when we fought segregation in schools, Brown v. Board of Education, a lot of those, here's how we flip it. Here's how we are ingenious in a lot of ways, us people who are oppressed. A lot of the case law that we used fighting what they were doing to us were taken from cases against the KKK. Right? So the Ku Klux Klan was making arguments like, hey, we are people, we have the right to do this. And where they won those cases, we were like, well, it worked for them.
It could work for us, too.
It could work for us.
Exactly.
Right?
Case law.
So we won these major battles, you know. We won.
Crazy.
Think about the right to vote was a sign of the pen. It was a sign of the pen. It was a pen stroke.
So you believe if this Byron Allen case gets overturned and he succeeds in his right, that's going to change the game for a lot of people that look like us?
If Byron Allen wins, then it adds beef. It adds teeth. It adds muscle to our claims. And a lot of people be like, well, Byron Allen, why should we support him? He's a billionaire. He's part of this corporate capitalist system. But what folks don't understand is who better to bring this case than Byron Allen, because he has the money.
There you go.
He has the resources to fight this case.
I'm going to quote a friend of mine in the cannabis industry. His name is Leo Bridgewater, and it goes with this, and I want to know your opinion on it, right, Hawk? He said, in order to get what we rightfully deserve in this society, some of us are going to have to rage against the machine, and some of us are going to have to rage within the machine. It's going to take both.
It's going to take both. Absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's what you're talking about is my own personal torment, right? Because I come from a camp. I come from a movement that is abolitionist. It's abolish the government. It's abolish the police. It's abolish ICE. Abolish everything. But at the same time, my training, my education shows me how to work this system to get to where you need to be, right? I truly believe that with everything against us, that we can overcome if we operate in a strategic fashion. If there was no Malcolm X, there would be no Dr. King, right? If Malcolm X wasn't standing by the window with an AK-47 saying by any means necessary, then Martin Luther King Jr. and his Bible and his following became a lot more appealing. It's like, let's listen to him, because them dudes over there is crazy, right? Like if we go over here and
better
talk
two evils.
Exactly. If we go over here and talk to Malcolm X, we might have to give up a couple of states. Right? We might have to give up property and land. But Dr. King, you know what they want? Voting rights. They want to be able to ride on the front of the bus. Let's give them that. Let's shut them up for a little while. Think about it. Lyndon B. Johnson, the president at the time, said, if we give black people this Voting Rights Act, this Civil Rights Act, then they'll be Democrats for the next 200 years. That's heavy.
That is heavy. They was thinking heavy. But now we're in 2020
and you see it to this day.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
We in
Blindly.
2020, man.
Yeah.
And then what happened was, a lot of people don't know if you go a little more behind that, because I'm a little bit of a history buff. Lincoln, which is the one that abolished slavery at the time, Republican. And everybody that had done anything significant for minorities or oppressed people was Republican before that point that you just mentioned.
Yeah. It's around that time there's a great book called Jesus Christ, Color in Politics or something like that. I'll get you the number. I'll get you the name of it. But Running on Race is the name of the book. And it talked about how Republicans were kind of cool, I use that term loosely, before the Civil Rights Act, before these elections in the 1960s. But the Democrats started making all these promises to black people. And the Republicans had a lot of folks in the South who they were like, we could just clean up down here and we could just build this alliance with them. And that's when the shoes switched sides, right? That's when the shoe went straight to the other foot. So a lot of Republicans run around saying, well, why are you so loyal to the Democrats? Look at what we did. Yeah, we get that, but let's talk about the last 60 years, right? And the things that the Republican Party has done. Me, personally, I believe that corporations run the government.
Of course.
Right?
Industries funds the Democratic and the Republican Party.
Exactly.
Industry
2020
funds
money.
both.
That's it.
So whoever holds the gold makes the law.
That's it. So you look at Comcast. Comcast donates to Democrats and Republicans, right? You just really have to dig deep, follow the money, see what's going on, do your research, and you'll really understand how deep this goes. I just think that they all have different bosses, right? It's just different money controlling, different interests controlling. Now, you do have some genuine people who run for office once they get elected. What happens is when they run, they want to challenge the status quo. But when they get elected, they maintain the status quo. But you do have some good folks out there who are doing some really good things, like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We were the first group in New York to back her. Right? A lot of people don't know that because you don't want to run around saying, BLM and why endorsed us when they are, strong critics of the police. Right?
Exactly.
Like they're very strong critics of the police, but we're just strong critics of injustice. So, a lot of times people have to distance themselves from us. And I understand that's what the game is,
That's the game.
Right.
You have the right mentality because it's about the gold and change, not so much about the accolades. And that's why you've probably been so successful and you've been able to do so much, because it's like you have to put your ego aside and say, do you want the accolades or do you want change?
Bruh, I look and I see some of these people standing on these stages, these activists and all that, and I'm like, that's dope. But like right now, I'm representing for the streets.
Yeah.
You understand? So I'm representing for the community. And when the community looks at me, I want them to be like, I know he's moving in our best interest.
Absolutely.
So I had a protest where we were protesting at a Trump rally, and they invited us on stage. And I went up on stage, and it wasn't fire. It wasn't like, I hate you, I hate what you stand for. It was like, here's the Constitution, here's the Bible, here's right, here's wrong. Here's what you stand for, and here's what's right. Right? And a lot of people had some serious problems with that. The video went psycho viral, 64 million views, right? But the activist community was like, how dare you? How could you go and stand up with those people?
I'm a little confused when it comes to activism, right? Because we living in 2020, right? We're not living in the 1960s where we just needed, at that moment, we needed Dr. King to do what he do. We needed X to do what he do, right? So now it's like, now we in New York, this is 2020. We don't only need activists. We need money too. So it's like when you mention why not Byron, yeah, why not Byron?
Yeah.
He's the one who acquired the money. Why not? Why can't he also be a face of activism too? Just because he's rich doesn't mean he can't be activism.
Absolutely.
That's like Bill Gates, right? He's a philanthropist. Everybody loves him. He's running around giving away all the money in the world, right? So why can't be the same with Byron Allen? Why can't he be fighting for some situation? And because he's a billionaire, why can't he be an activist also?
That's a really good question. So a lot of people know, like we said, AOC, and she's a democratic socialist. Just like Bernie is a democratic socialist. You really have to think about the wars in the world. Forget about freedom.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's an illusion.
It's an illusion.
Right? That's an illusion.
For any race or anybody.
Yeah.
Exactly. If America goes into a country and they're like, we're here to bring freedom, we're about to liberate their resources.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're about to liberate their oil. Like, that's the only thing we're bringing freedom to, right?
Yeah.
So you have a group of people who see capitalism, and it's in the Bible. For the love of money is the root of all evil. So they're like, I don't care who got the money. I don't care who got the money. They're willing to sell out their mothers to get it. Now, if you look at, like, you know, you got celebrities coming in here. You got rappers coming in here. And a lot of celebrities won't step out onto the forefront of this movement with us is because they don't want the money to stop coming into them. Look at Colin Kaepernick. Look at how they crippled him.
Absolutely.
Look at what NBC tried to do to Nick Cannon. So it's a fine line. Like,
yeah, but this is my thing though, right? So for example, Hawk Newsome, everybody knows you. You're credited. You've done the work, right? So if something arises, opportunity for you where you're able to acquire some sort of richness, some sort of money for what you do, are you wrong for doing that? You understand what I'm saying? Why can't you be an American like Americans are?
Yeah.
Take the opportunity. And it don't necessarily got to be a fucked up opportunity. It could be a brother helping you out. It could be a brother giving you a big check. You're not gonna take it. You understand what I'm saying? Like I don't understand how people will be like real judgmental towards that.
This is my opinion, right, Hawk? My humble opinion. If, like I told you, remember I just mentioned rage within the machine and rage against the machine. If you have somebody like Byron Allen sitting at these board meetings at these big tables, right? Hawk, Vladimir, Ramon have a better chance of speaking to Byron than anybody at that table. And the reality is, if we have no way to speak to anybody at that table, our ability for change is very limited.
you're extremely accurate. Here's the thing. We have been sold out so much, and we believe that money corrupts. So I do political consulting, right? I've hired 40 people over the last 3 years. Each year, 40 different families have received money from us. In that campaign against Comcast, right? We were hired as consultants. I put $200,000 into the streets of Chicago, Washington, D.C.
Because that's what's needed.
Baltimore and
People
Philly.
don't understand.
That's it.
The people that you fighting for, they poor.
That's it.
Like
That's
at the
it.
end of the day,
Like this Amazon thing, right? When they stop Amazon from coming from New York, like activists, we think we have a problem. We know better than the people. People in Queensbridge, Storia, people in the Jacks needed those jobs.
needed those
jobs.
Whatever jobs it bought, so I'm real cognizant of being street focused. Being people-centered, not activist culture and community. Because activists are crazy, imaginative weirdos. Think about it. We wake up like, I'm going to change this world.
yeah.
400,000 of years of oppression is in our face, and we like,
Yeah, we gonna change.
we changing the world. Like, we are crazy and out of our mind. But you need people like us, right? So,
But you have that self-awareness, and I believe everything in life is having that self-awareness to know the good, the bad, to know your strengths and your flaws, and in order to be able to do things of scale and magnitude.
that's it. I was at this billionaire's house, I ain't gonna say his name, for his Christmas party. And he sat there and told me, yo, I paid $500 million in taxes. And that's like a fraction of what I should have really paid. And I think it's unfair, but I did it. So there is no way that these corporations and that these really wealthy people should not pay their fair share of taxes. There's no way that they're paying a smaller percentage of taxes than somebody living in the Bronx just trying to get by, right? There's no way that we could be like one of the wealthiest countries in the history of the world, and we still have homeless people.
A lot.
Think about New York. There's
a
more
lot.
empty spaces, more empty apartments in New York City than there are homeless people. We can house everyone.
That's crazy.
We could feed
See, I didn't know
everyone.
that.
Everybody should be able to go to college for free. Everybody should have health care, right?
Yeah, that should just be like
That's
a
a
given.
given,
Like
right.
you should just be born and give them health care.
So when you see corporations and big pharma, right? And they're challenging us on this. It's like, oh wait, all corporations are evil. Do you see the disconnect, my brothers? Do you see the disconnect? Like they're like, wait, these big money people are intentionally keeping us poor so that they
Mhm.
can make money. That's where the disconnect
That's
happens.
where the disconnect is.
And if we gotta draw lines, then I'm on the side of the people.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think everybody should have what they want. My dream is a ranch in Montana, right?
Okay.
Just acres, a lake, big
Ranch
wooden
from the
house,
Bronx or
with
ranch
a
in
porch,
Montana,
right?
baby.
Right,
You
some
should have a
horses
dream. Why
running
shouldn't you have a
around,
dream?
like
Right.
just that's it.
Yeah.
I like nice things, right? I put $100 down on that new Tesla that's coming out in 2021 because I'm an activist. I got to drive a hybrid. No,
No.
bro. You
No.
know, I like certain things. I like to
Yeah.
be fresh. I like nice clothes. Like, I want to feed my family. I want to take care of my people. And I can't tell you that. I won't tell you that you can't do that. I want everybody to be able to accumulate as much wealth as they want. But at the same time, nobody could be poor and nobody could be homeless.
Yeah, nobody should. I mean, like you just said, and I've seen like several like crazy documentaries where they literally talk about this, and they show engineers talk about how we can literally feed everyone. There's enough, like more than enough, to feed and house everyone comfortably. Not even like house them like the projects. You know what I mean? Like how they housing us in the projects. Like everybody that has a family should be able to live well because we have enough space, resources, energy, money, water, everything you need. We got it here.
I mean, realistically, and then I say things and people are like, oh, you're an activist, you can't say that. Guess what? I don't think people should be able to spend government funds like EBT money, food stamps, on junk food.
Right. No, you can't go and buy liquor with this shit.
No, you can't buy liquor. You can't go and buy Coke, Pepsi. You can't buy sweet. No. Like, see, that like that
Yeah.
things like that. It's not cool to say as an activist, but
But it is practical and logical.
it is, right? It is, and it makes sense.
I have something very important to touch on right now that coincides with exactly what you're saying. Us at Happy Monkey, me and Ramon, after doing our due diligence, Hawk, in this cannabis industry, we are very, very confident and really believe that this cannabis industry is going to be the biggest transfer of wealth from poor to rich in our lifetime that we've ever seen. So my question to you is, what role does yourself see playing in social equity, and what role will Black Lives Matter in ensuring that social equity gets accomplished correctly when it's said and done, especially here in the East Coast, because they already fucked it up on the West Coast.
Yeah, they
Hopefully
fucked
we
it up,
get it
baby.
right on this side. So I want to know your opinion on this, because we're very knowledgeable on that, because we've been doing our due diligence for 2.5 years.
I think that I believe it's Chicago's mayor and a few other people are doing some really awesome things around weed, making sure
sir.
that those who were impacted by weed when it was illegal have first access to these licenses.
Yes, sir.
My thinking is instead of having a dispensary, I'd like to provide a service to the industry, right?
Yes,
Something
sir.
that's going to be there forever. That's just
Yes,
how I
sir.
think.
That's
right?
very intelligent.
But
That's that way.
exactly, right? But I think that brothers and sisters should have access to this. What about community co-ops? Like, what if a community could come together and do these things? I don't think that the standard should be so high as people have to have a certain level of wealth in order to get these licenses and things like that. How do we get there, though? It's people like me making noise. And applying the pressure, and it is our allies. Like it realistically is Black people with ability and is white people with influence coming together and
Yes.
making sure that this industry is diverse.
That's the truth. That is the truth.
And it's the funny thing, because that's part of the whole premise of this podcast, Hawk, is that we feel like we are the nexus between corporate cannabis and culture cannabis, because we straddle the fence. And through this, we have people like you from the culture, and then we have people from the corporate, and we teach corporate about culture and culture about corporate and cannabis, because I believe it's not going to work for either of them unless they find a happy medium.
Basically.
They need each other.
Well said. Well said.
And I believe, like you said, I think that you made a very good point. So many people are hung up looking from the outside in. Only dispensary, only grow. There will be thousands of different ways to be involved in this industry that have nothing to do with either, and there'll be 1,000 different services, and our people need to know that there's a wide spectrum of all kinds of talents. Every talent that anybody has in this world and any other industry will be able to be applied here.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I think where we would be good is advocating, applying pressure to governments, applying pressure to corporations, but
I just
educating.
Yes, that's what I was gonna get.
That's the
Educating.
number one
Educating
issue.
them.
The lack
Right
of
on.
lack of
Lack of
information is the number one issue we've seen.
Not only for the politicians, because obviously I need people to understand the politicians. These are people that are maybe 60 years of age, maybe 70 years of age. They don't really understand of what's happening in the last 20 years, right? But educating them is pretty much gonna change shit, right? So when I say educate them, not only educate them about the cannabis and the activist shit, the business part, because that's basically what they're interested in. How is the government going to make their money? So that's what they're interested in, right? So advocating, you're gonna help us a lot with that. That's gonna be real big, right?
Educating the community.
Educating the
Right.
community, right?
But then when we start talking about tax dollars, why not invest in entrepreneurship programs in our neighborhoods? Those monies could go toward textbooks, because I'm going to tell you something right now. We as a people are tired of being slaves in these textbooks, right? We want to talk about black people before slavery. Okay,
Yes.
let's talk about how black people really invented the wheel, and about how we were kings and queens and conquerors just like everyone else. And
would
we
be
don't
a
just want
beautiful
to
thing.
learn that in the context of Black History Month. This should be part of the curriculum.
Yeah, it should be normal.
Yeah.
It should be a normal
Yeah.
thing. Absolutely. So education, right? Not only education for the people, politicians, really importantly, the cops. The cops, local cops too. I'm not even talking about the FBI, all this other shit. Local cops, they need to get educated. Why? Because they bust balls over shit that they don't know about, right? So Hawk Newsome could be walking down the street right now with a half a pound of hemp that looks exactly like marijuana. You can have the paperwork on you. It can look exactly like marijuana. You got the paperwork that says in hemp. You're still going to get arrested. You understand? You're still going to go through the system. They're still going to fuck with you a little bit. You're still Hawk, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So educating these cops, I think, is going to make a real big difference. That's going to change a lot, man, because they basically, their numbers show, and we talked about this a lot, their numbers show that we are the ones that get harassed the most.
Oh, of course.
You know what I mean?
I mean, realistically, since we became quasi-legal in New York City, right? The disparities in the people picked up for smoking weed and having weed on them are ridiculous. White people smoke weed like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Right? And there ain't nothing wrong with that.
No.
But don't just target black and brown people for these crimes, and that goes down to predatory policing. And what they're doing is what the city allows them to get away with. Now, there's big issue right now. They just got like $500 million to hire new cops to police the subways, right? To stop people from hopping the train. Let me explain something to you. If you are willing to spend the night in jail over $2.75, then you need to be able to take the train for free. Okay? People who receive government benefits should be allowed to take the train for free. Poor people, people on disability, not a reduced rate. Like, all of these people should be able to take the train for free. But when it goes back, see what I'm telling you about making money in capitalism?
Yeah.
You see how and how they use the police to
enforce the money. Make sure the money's being made.
come on. What was our first contact with police? It was
never been a good
the Fugitive Slave Act, right? And they were capturing people and bringing them back to slavery. Sometimes they were capturing free people and putting them in slavery. Like, I'm not just a crazy activist. I'm not just this person who hates police.
Right.
There is history that backs our claims that says, okay, policing has never been done properly in this country.
No.
And we need to really get serious about doing that.
And it has nothing to do with race, because there are all races of police officers. It's a systemic thing. It's not.
It's top down. right? Let me tell you, man. Let me explain something to you. There's enough money. MONEY, that if they wanted to pass legislation like the Andrew Kearse Act, which says if a person says that I need medical assistance, a cop has to give it to you. If not, they'll be facing a felony. There's enough money if I had the money, right? If I had $1 million to throw at the Andrew Kearse Act, it would be passed in Albany this session.
That's funny.
And I learned that through activism. Like I learned that I could huff and puff and get something done in 2 years that could be done in 20 days if I had the adequate amount of resources. This is my reality, right? So I'm really looking at this and saying we are dying because people are allowing us to die, and nobody's off the hook, bro. Like,
Right.
you got a lot of athletes that listen to this, right?
Yes.
Just imagine if every black and brown athlete threw 20,000.
Yeah, just 20. We
Behind
ain't talking
us.
millions. We
Nah,
just talking little
just threw
20,000 that they throw in the
20,000.
club in like 4 hours.
Come on,
Yeah.
right? If they put that behind activism, what? You know what? We would be living in a different society. We would be living in a place where people in the projects would have food prepared for them every day. Kids won't go to sleep hungry. You'd be going. You would have like these thriving communities with so much less stress. And then when you start talking about fighting these battles, now we out here teaching and freeing people's minds. Politics change.
Absolutely.
Right? Politics change because now these politicians, you know how you win an election in the hood, man? You go and you give out free turkeys.
Yeah.
You go to the tenants associations, get them like a little $500, or you do like Halloween party. I'm talking about things that cost nothing, right? I'm looking at everybody's shoes in here, right?
Yeah.
We all got some dope shit on, right? The the sneakers in this room, right, could get you if I had the money, right? It could buy you a following in the community. Like real shit.
That's crazy.
Like
It's
real
crazy.
shit. And that's how politicians get us cheap.
Cheap. The sneaker money.
Sneaker money.
Crazy.
Champagne money.
Right.
And this is what they throw at us. Meanwhile, they got $6 million
Ready to
in
throw.
discretionary funds that they're not giving to you. What they're doing is they're giving it to those organizations in your hood so that they could give you money. And when election time comes, they leaning on you like, hey, you need to vote for such and such, right? Like my sister, Shavonna Newsome, she's running for Congress in the Bronx.
Shout out to her.
Word up.
Yes, sir.
That's
Where can we find her, just in case?
That's
Just plug her real quick.
NewsomeForCongress.com. Shavonna Newsome, New York 15. And right now, the party leaders in the Bronx see her as an insurgent. She's a co-founder of Black Lives Matter, and they're calling people who post pictures with us, and they're like, remember who your friends are.
Yeah.
Remember, and they're like, they argue back and forth. You don't live in a safe neighborhood. It'd be a shame if something happened to you. Bro, this is real.
Real life shit.
Like, they threatening people's lives around an election, man. And this is because of the people who we put in power, right? And then if you buck against these politicians, they get money from... I ain't gonna give up the goods.
Countless.
I ain't gonna give up the goods right now, right? They get money from this company,
Yeah,
right?
countless companies
So
and organizations.
you getting, what's your name, brother?
Tech King.
Tech King. Well, you getting money from Tech King Corp,
Yeah.
$200,000 a year, right? And that's through Hawk Newsome and Vladimir. You come up and you doing something I don't like, I'm like, remember that Tech King money, that $200,000. You living off of, your staff is living off of, that's going to disappear if you go against me. This is the game. This is how that game is
and
played.
it's fucked up because if it was just him by himself, he'll take the hit.
Yeah.
But he got a responsibility to his staff, employers, and family that you like. Damn, now I'm kind of caught in the middle, and fuck it, I got to do what I got to do.
That's why it's like I said, you know what I mean? I feel like it's a balance of both. You know what I mean? I feel like we need to have people in positions of the money and able to in order to be able to influence politics and legislation. I feel like it's it's no way because there has to be somebody raging inside the machine to really push real change.
Yeah, that's why I like that little formula that you and Byron have. That's a nice little formula right there.
Yeah.
'Cause you kind of need that. Like, he couldn't have done it on his own.
And this is what it is. I'm going to stand out front and be like, fuck Comcast for this racist shit. Right? And then you got Byron Allen, who's like, this is completely unacceptable. It's not fair. And we refuse for African Americans to be treated like that. You need that duality.
Absolutely.
You need that duality.
Absolutely.
There you
right?
go.
You need
very well put.
his resource
Yeah, we need
and
everything.
our connection to the community.
Absolutely. People
But-
like to just stick to one thing, right?
What's really important though is that you have people that's gonna stay true to the community. Because let me tell you, it's a shakedown game. Y'all getting the goods right now. There's a shakedown game in activism where activists will boycott a company, right? Go on these national boycotts and then sit down. Let's say it's a marketing company, which has happened before. And look up the Madison Avenue Initiative. And you'll go to these companies and say, you're racist, you're not employing enough black people in advertising, and they say, we don't want trouble. We don't want smoke. Who should we give this money to? And you'll be like, well, my friend Fred, Tech King, and you'll just keep it in your little silo, and they'll give you money back. But when you come and you sit down at a table with Hawk Newsome, the whole hood is eating as many people as possible. I'm gonna walk away with something nice for myself, right? If I'm working and organizing.
Absolutely,
But
you
in
should.
that work, it's being spread out through the whole community. Those are the leaders we need, right? We need people who are going to take care of our communities. That's why only 30% of this nation votes. Because they believe that our politicians are prostitutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Everybody
So
believes
there's
it.
like, why would I go and vote and support these people? So right now what I'm working together is a proposal to get out the black and brown vote in swing states. And I need money from a source, right? And what I'm going to do is go into these places and tell people to vote on issues. So what
Yeah,
would
not
that look like?
politicians, issues.
No. Fuck the politicians.
Yeah, the issues.
Right? Like white people with money, right, and a certain level of intelligence will vote for Obama and vote for Trump without losing any sleep because they know what issues they're voting for. Black people get caught up in this.
person.
The person, right? He can dance salsa. I like him. Right? Bill Clinton smoked bud and played the
Right.
saxophone.
So
I like him. What?
yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I don't know if you watched this documentary, you would like this, right? I saw this documentary on HBO, right, Hawk? It's called Meet the Donors.
Okay.
So what Meet the Donors is, and what it is about is the biggest donors to presidential and all political campaigns in the United States of America. And I'm going to give you a little jewel. You know what happens to be the #1 zip code in the United States of America that donates the most money to presidential candidates? Like you said, both or all three parties, whatever it is, they're enough to leverage all around the board. They just want to, like you said, be in good graces with whoever wins. Is the lower Upper East Side. The people that live in that jurisdiction donate the most money to the presidents, and they come out in the interview, right, Hawk? Like, yeah, we don't really, whoever, whatever, but we in no matter who.
Yeah. Whoever represents our interests.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because I put a little bit here, put more over here, and I put a little bit over there. So I spread my bet a little. I hedged myself all across the board. So no matter who wins, almost every election, I'm at the inaugural acceptance.
This is it.
Look at
right?
all the pictures, and this is in the interview. Look at all the pictures of all the different presidents, because I know how to bet correctly.
That's it. Why we not moving like that, right? So we got Warren, we got Biden, not Biden, well, whatever. If he makes it, we got Bernie, Warren, maybe Andrew Yang, right? He's talking about universal basic income. That's pretty much everybody in the country over 18 gets $1,000 a month.
I'm feeling him.
Right? So you have these people, and they're going to be canvassing and trying to get you to vote for them in, you know, these primaries. But even in the general election, we don't need black people, brown people to say, hey, I'm just showing up to vote for Bernie because I like him. We need people to get it in their minds. We're voting for him because he's pro-cannabis. We're voting for him because he's pro-health care for all, because he's for free tuition for everybody. That's how we need to start thinking.
Yeah, the
right?
issues need to get highlighted.
What interest are they going to have for our community?
That's it. You don't need anything else. It could be
You know
Papa
what's
Smurf.
funny? And it ties back into cannabis, Hawk, that you mentioned the whole money thing, right? Right now, Governor Cuomo just made an op-ed on the New York Times about 2 weeks ago about how he plans on pushing cannabis recreation legal in New York State. And the whole premise of the op-ed is that we're $6 billion in deficit and how cannabis can help bring that down. Not about any other topics that we just mentioned. That is the main premise of the push.
Money.
Man, listen.
Money.
Cuomo is really Michael Corleone. like
I don't
Cuomo,
know if you guys seen The Godfather, but
Cuomo is the boss.
He
like
is the boss.
And he moves like a gangster. Like you cross Cuomo, you feel it. Like there was some local organizations that backed his opponent, right? 2 weeks later, all their paperwork was being pulled. Like what? We want to see everything, and everything better be by the look. Like he does not play. Like he's about his bottom line. He's a politician. I don't like his politics personally. I can't get with some of his politics because it's too old school politician. But the way he moved,
he's not faking it though. What you see is what you get.
Yeah. If we had a person with that was heart centered, that moved like him, Jesus Christ, we make so much progress in New York. Because people would know that man, woman, they would know that she is not to be toyed with. And that her issues will be put to the forefront, and she would make progress. It's just real. But we were talking about cannabis, and we went straight into Cuomo. But it's all about the money, man. Why do you think they closing all these jails? Why do you think everybody's talking about?
What do you think about that? What's all that about? Because January, I believe that two things passed. They already officially are going to close Rikers and a bunch of jails, and then for some reason, I think something passed that anybody with under a B felony no longer can be held for bail.
Yeah,
what do you know about that,
bro? It's once again. It's being an activist and being somebody from the hood, right? So they agreed to release a lot of people from jail, right? We needed to close Rikers Island because it's just pretty much an evil place. It's in horrible condition. It's a complete waste of money and a waste of resources.
I think it's the biggest county jail in the United States of America.
That's it, right? So what you need to do, as opposed to just closing Rikers, you need to change the culture of the prison guards, right? You need to stop them from treating these individuals like animals, but also we need to look at jails that are social service oriented. Like, address the issues. Like, there's a reason why people are committing crimes, be it poverty. In that case, you teach people how to build a business. You teach people how to be entrepreneurs. You teach them a trade. Or it is they have malice in their hearts. They're just like genuinely people with a lot of pain who like to hurt other people. So you need to think about that from a mental health perspective,
right? So
and get these people to service.
Rehabilitation, not incarceration.
That's it, right? Because it's all punitive. It's all punishment. And we need to get to a place where we are actually helping people. But at the same time, activists are screaming, yeah, free my sons. Get everybody into the street. But people in the streets like, I need to go and take some karate classes because it's about to be crazy out here. You know what I mean? Like, people in the streets know, like, some people need to be in jail.
I'm not a supporter of that term, free my such and such, right? Because I feel like, me coming from the hood or whatever the case may be, I feel like those terms come from like, I would say maybe like a political prisoner or something like, they just lock up Hawk Newsome for some bullshit. We all know Hawk Newsome ain't a crack dealer. We all know, you know what I mean? So I feel like, that term should come for that, for those who kind of like were wrongly accused. And
Because
like,
before it was like Free Huey.
Yeah, Free Huey.
Huey Newton.
Now we talking about Free
Mandela.
Jerome that robbed the grocery store and did all this other crazy shit. He finally got caught. You talking about Free Jerome. Nah, I ain't with that. You know what I mean? Fuck that dude. That dude could stay in jail. Like, you know what I mean? He over here wilding and doing all these things. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like, there's dudes who, like you just said, they got malice in their heart and they want to see other people hurt. Well, incarcerate these people, but also rehabilitate, right? Yeah. So this is what we talking about. But still, I'm not a person who likes to say free such and such, especially if they're not. If
they shouldn't be
crook,
free.
You a crook, my nigga. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
If it's like, I don't tell people to stop selling drugs because I can't give them a job. Like, some people are genuinely trying to eat, bro. Like, absolutely. And I can't knock people like that. Like, I can't. I can say I wish you were doing better, but until you could give them a job, then you can't necessarily do it.
You'd be a hypocrite.
You'd be a hypocrite, right? And I hold myself accountable to myself, to my team, and to God. And a lot of people around activism will be like, oh, who is he accountable to? My mentors, the people around me, the people who love me. But I've learned how to evaluate situations and come to an educated conclusion, right, on these issues. So this is where I stand. And let me tell you, it helps in activism because everybody innocent, bro. Like, everybody's innocent. And I get these calls and, evidence comes out later that
dude did this and did that.
Motherfucker should have been shot. You tried to wrong with the wrong person.
Right.
And it ain't all. There's not enough de-escalation in the world to stop a cop from shooting somebody who rolled up on them on a dark street with a gun threatening their lives.
I ain't mad at
now,
that either.
If I say this, now I'm saying it on your podcast, which has a lot of people listening. Right. They're gonna come for me and be like, "Oh, how dare he say?" But it's the truth.
It's the truth. That man is that cop is a human being.
That's it.
That cop was scared. That cop has a gun,
and you pulled a gun on him, and so and when I get that type of case, right? If I see that the prosecutors and the lawyers are not doing right by the family, I'll get them the information they need. I won't go and be like, "Oh, this cop is horrible. This is the problem." No, I'm not going to destroy my credibility.
Yeah, but you'll give them info.
But I'll push for info. And then, you get cursed out in the end like, "Oh, you don't want to fight for justice."
But
what?
You
get like
your jacket is crazy, your record is crazy, and this is like your third case, and
and their thing was it was because the police were following him the whole time.
Right.
It was because a crime spree started when he came. Okay, and he knew it was him, and I'm not trying to be insensitive to anybody, but
it's the truth,
the reality
man.
of it.
And I think that's why you are going to be a magnificent civil leader, and you're going to be successful at what you do, because if you don't have logic, practicality for real things, then it's just going to seem like this dude just runs with anybody that just comes at him, and there will be no real significant.
Yeah, your voice won't be heard.
There won't be no credibility when you do stand behind somebody, because they're like, he just stands behind anybody that's a minority, and that's not gonna.
You just jump out there, So even if it's something that I don't wholeheartedly believe, if I can see some issues that justify our presence, talk it over with the team, right? Then we'll jump in. But I'm not just going to jump out there to be out there. Like, there's a lot of activists out here who just chase cameras, right? They don't live in the hood. They're not from the neighborhood, but they represent all the people in the neighborhood. How is that, sir? How is that, ma'am? How do you speak for these people who you don't even know? Who you don't even come in contact with on a regular basis? Like, that's really problematic for me. That's really problematic for me. I just think we come from different generations. Like, we grew up in a time where it was about code and honor and
Morals, principles, values.
That's it. These kids aren't being taught that. Think about what they get through social media. Everything that's bad is good. You're looking at people being beat to death, and folks are just recording instead of breaking up fights.
That's crazy.
How many times we was little kids scrapping over a football game, fighting over a baseball game or handball, and the adults was like, no,
like, you separate that.
you're not fighting.
You're not supposed to, right?
But now,
I remember
the adults pull out their phones and record.
Absolutely.
I remember
Horrible.
in my neighborhood, right? I grew up in a very, drug infested, area, and they were like, the drug dealers, the OGs. You were not getting the lookout if you weren't going to school. You were not if you weren't moving according to their morals and their principles and their values, they were not supporting you.
That's it. Realistically, when I was in college, I used to hang out. So I was one of the kids outside on the stoop smoking blunts and drinking 40s. Well, we drink White Star when we had enough money, little Moet champagne, right? We had our Rottweilers tied to the gate. You know what I mean? Those
Straight
are the
New York
days.
shit,
Straight
yeah.
New York, right?
Straight New York.
And people that I even hung out with, I was about 18, 19, and the dudes I was hanging out with were early 30s, and even the elders, 50, 60 years old. And they'll find out that I was in college and be like, what? I thought you was just to hang out on the block. Not really. And then you'll get that pound. They'll give you $100.
Yeah.
Or come to my house. They'll give you a couple of ties, right, for those job interviews.
The hood support. The hood support. People don't show that. I think we should start showing that more often.
Yeah.
The hood, there's a lot of hood people, but if you got somebody in your clique that's actually doing something, we support that, man.
That's it.
You know what I mean? You got that one friend that made it out the hood and going to college. You give him the sneakers. You give him whatever you got because he's gone. You know what I mean?
He doing it, right?
Doing
He
it.
doing it.
Yeah.
He doing it. And I'm realistically, if I could get something right now, right? I just want to feed a hood every week.
Yeah.
Every week. Just do a Thursday where I have an abundance of good food that tastes like it's bad for you. Because I want to feed people healthy food, right? But I want to make it taste like it's bad for you, right? Because we had this aversion toward anything healthy, but things like that. So if I bring everybody into a room, right, and feed them, and then have them served, sit down, teach them what knives, what forks to use, treat them like human beings,
Absolutely.
right? Like
Teach them how to
human
eat
restaurant
dinner.
setting.
Absolutely.
But then we have a few speakers come up and educate them on something.
Why not?
Yeah, and then
Why
do a
not?
little curated conversation. Type out 3 questions, leave it on each table. This is what you discuss over dinner. Just build community and education.
That'll help so much because this is what happens, right? And even me, when I was growing up, you kind of get intimidated just because you don't want to go to certain restaurants because you feel like you don't deserve you should be in that restaurant. You're from the hood, so you feel like, damn, I don't know how to eat in that restaurant.
Yeah.
There's going to be some people in there, I don't know. But no, these are human beings. You walk in there, you pick up your fork, you pick up your knife, you eat like a human being. But because you don't give these certain people from the hood that's never been into a restaurant, never been in a dinner setting, you know what I mean? You teach them these things, they'll be very confident to walk into these places now on their own. You know what I mean? Like we talk about, man, you teach a nigga how to fish, he go fish. Now he go eat, especially if he interested. You know what I'm saying? So
right on. My family always told me we didn't have a lot of money. My parents would always buy me nice clothes, because they didn't want me to feel like I had to sell drugs to get the nice clothes. So when I chose to start selling weed, it wasn't because my lights was off, right? It was because I wanted to be cool. I wanted to be down. I was a follower. It's amazing that I'm me now, but I was a follower then.
Yeah.
And but what they did teach me was, if you don't know, just watch the people around you. Right. So if you're at a dinner and you really don't know what to do, you watch the people around you and kind of do what they do. I'll never forget, I was a youngin'. I was maybe in college or coming out of college. And I met this woman on this dating app, right? And she was staying at the Four Seasons. And she's like, meet me at the Four Seasons. And I'm like, I'm from the Bronx.
Seasons,
What? And she was like, listen, walk in like you own the place, go to the elevator and come upstairs. I carried that with me my whole life, bro. my whole life. Like whatever room I walk into, it's that confidence. Like,
Yes.
yeah, I'm here.
Yes,
I wouldn't be here if I didn't belong.
Right. That's
you know,
what
it's
it
crazy.
is.
I always
That's
tell
basically what it
Ramon
is.
that, you know, I'm from like uptown, like I tell you, Harlem, Hamilton Heights, and you know, everybody always had this mentality like you only belong in the hood and you only belong here and you only belong there. I always felt from a young age like I belong anywhere. And I always went downtown to the little restaurants, and I always went downtown to the bar, to the club, because I felt like I belong anywhere. Like why? You know what I mean? Because it would be people that were doing very well financially, but mentally they were like, I'm not going there. I don't belong there. I'm like, why
It's
not?
amazing.
Your money's
Yes.
green, but they had this mental hood jail that they were like, no,
That's it.
I don't belong there.
Right.
I remember, like I used to always party. You remember Life on Bleecker Street?
course.
What? Oh man, like Diddy, Jay-Z, everybody there. And the crazy thing is, I be in the hood. Now I'm in college, I'm balling, and those same dudes I hang out with every day, I be like, yo, I'm going downtown. They be like, Psh, you going down there
downtown,
party with these white, you going to party with these white people. I'm staying, I ain't going nowhere. And I come back to the hood, they in the same spot,
Same
smoking,
spot, doing
chilling.
the same shit.
And
It had
I'm like,
nothing to do with money because they had the money.
they
Just
had
that
the money. They just didn't want to go.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'm like, bro, Janet Jackson was in the spot tonight.
No
I was
shit.
standing
That's
20 feet from
crazy.
Janet Jackson, and like some were like, "Oh, you're lying," but no, that was just being in those rooms, right? Like I tell kids, I do a lot of work in schools, and I'm speaking at Oneonta College tomorrow. I drive
Oneonta,
up in
that's
the
all the way
morning.
upstate,
Yeah, I'm out, but that's peaceful. So I get a Suburban, and I just drive, and it's
Nice.
nature, and I got
Yeah.
my cigars, it's music, I'm chilling. So I would always tell these kids, you got to be a social chameleon. You could be whoever you want to be. Hip hop is your culture. Tight jeans, baggy jeans, jeans sagging, whatever you want to do it where it's appropriate.
That's it.
You like talking loud? That's cool. But do it in an appropriate setting.
Exactly.
Right? And you just move how you want to move and move through life. I have a good friend, and he's out in another country. He played ball, and now he's the major basketball news commentator in that place, right? And he's like, it's always business with me. I go in, I shake hands, I crack jokes. When it's done, I leave. My social life and my professional life are two completely different things, and I think our people would benefit from learning that.
Yeah, from learning separation of the two.
I want to
on.
ask you, Hawk, about Hawk the philanthropist. From what I hear, you've done some philanthropy work in Haiti and Dominican Republic. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? You know, we Dominican, baby. So
I
you know
ain't
you
know that. I'm gonna
support
give you a
the
round of
motherland.
applause on that right there.
Nah,
I ain't even
thank you.
know, my
I
G.
appreciate that, man.
That's
Nah.
that's pretty
But
much our home.
It's
Motherland.
hometown, the
Yeah,
motherland,
that's the
right?
motherland for us.
So what it is like, my dad was always sick, right? And I'm sure the statute of limitations expires on this, but he was always sick. They was always changing his medication, so we take the medicine, and whatever was left, we'd give, right? And they had doctors out there who would disseminate the medicines, right? Medical equipment,
Absolutely,
money,
they need it.
food, clothes, bags and bags of clothes. We send clothes out there. Like, for me, it's something taking up space in my apartment, right? But for those folks, it's something new. It's you know what I mean? It's coming through. It's coming through in the
appreciate it
clutch.
so much, man.
Exactly. So it wasn't like I was doing these large scale events where I'm sending like tens of thousands of dollars out there. But we were doing like small things and sending things and taking care of people.
Absolutely.
Like my sister just gave out 100 book bags. I'll send you the
That's
picture,
big.
right?
You don't understand how
going
big
back to
that is
school,
in those neighborhoods in DR, man.
That's it.
Yeah, remember, this
huge.
is really not like our urban neighborhoods here. This is a third world country
Yeah,
where
like-
people really don't have, or everybody doesn't have shoes. Everybody does not have a book bag. In America, it's like I don't have the name brand book bag I
Right.
want. I don't have the name brand sneaker
Right.
I want over this. Like I don't have
I
it,
don't have it
period.
at all.
So
Yeah.
like those little things that you mean, it changes somebody's perspective on life and keeps hope alive for them.
That's
Absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
And it's just like small things, like sacrificing a little bit of your time. We did the same thing for Haiti, Puerto Rico,
That's beautiful,
and,
man.
and
That's
what's
beautiful.
happening with the earthquakes out there, right? So I'm trying to think, like, I've been promoting flyers, like, say, so here's where you could drop
Dump,
something off. A lawyer that I know, she just gave me an address. So tomorrow we post this address. You can mail your stuff straight through there. You don't have to.
crazy. That's
You know
good.
what I mean? You don't
gotta
have
give
to
you
come
nothing.
see
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
You don't have to. Please make my life so much easier. Here's this address. Mail it to this woman. She's that verified. She's doing the work out there. Send her everything
That's
that
beautiful,
you
man.
possibly can, and that's what's important. And another thing, this I don't know if you saw the video. It's going viral now. It's a Puerto Rican dude in Puerto Rico, works for like the government, and he's saying that the offshore drilling is causing the earthquakes. And like 4 people sent that to my IMs, right? So I started researching. And it happened in the United States. It happened in a lot of places where they were drilling, and it's this condensed water that goes down into what they're drilling, and it destabilizes the plates.
The plates and all that stuff.
Right? But for me, in my having my platform, I did a tremendous thing by just researching it, packaging it, and sending out that video to everybody. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's just like educating people. Man, I get credit for like popping out in front of cameras and standing in front of the Department of Justice. I mean, you know, I got a TV show, but if people only knew the everyday things I do,
Oh man.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, like right there, like you just said, just packaging the stuff that's in your way is a lot. You understand? It does a lot. Like I do this every year. Like my mom's, and we pack stuff every year. We send stuff to DR every year, a couple times a year,
God
but
bless you.
every year we do this every year. So whenever I do get the chance to go back, I literally see people wearing my stuff.
Wow.
You understand?
Yeah.
I see people wearing all the stuff that I would thought that was old. They rocking they looking super fly, and they you know
killing it. Yeah.
very very happy to wear stuff. I see kids wearing their jackets, and because my mom does a lot of stuff too. Like she'll pack up all the stuff, and like the little bit of money that she does save, like she'll buy 100 book bags and take it to the local school. So we do a lot of these things every year already.
Dope.
But like he said, this is a real third world country, so you literally see where these things are going to. You see the people that it's going to. You see the
Imagine
people
what it
that's
does for
affected.
their morale.
Oh my God!
No, you can
they
lose
wait-
everything in life except hope. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? So when you give them these things, they feel like, damn, somebody cares and I have hope. You know what I mean? And I'm somebody, you know what I mean? And I can, walk around with my chest out because I got
Absolutely.
this book bag or I got
Absolutely.
this whatever, you sent them. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Nah, that's what's important. Showing
just
people a little love.
Giving people the basic necessities gives them some sort of confidence. It's the same when we're talking about giving people basic education, especially about cannabis or about activism, about anything that's happening. Giving people little one-on-ones of things would change it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's another thing that we working here on Happy Monkey is just giving bits of information to people that brings us closer together. So that's basically what Happy Monkey is. You can call it, a cannabis brand or whatever the case may be. It's a platform where we can get Hawk Newsome here, and we could get the Canada Security Exchange people right here, and we're able to come up with some sort of life solution. You know what I mean? Because that's basically what it is. We all trying to strive here. Everybody's trying to make the pursuit of happiness is basically what we're trying to do, right? But what people don't understand is that we all live on this earth together. So whether you're a white supremacist, whether you're Hawk Newsome, whether you're Vladimir, we still on this shit together.
Stuck.
So we got to figure something out. You know what I'm saying? But we got Hawk Newsome to represent us just in case these white supremacy dudes get a little bit too crazy, right?
Yeah, we out here.
So-
We was in Charlottesville, man. We was fighting like hand to hand. Like we was out there. We saw it first hand. Like it's real. But we moved from a place of love, man.
And that's
Like,
it.
We moved from a place of love. Like if
That's
I
it.
didn't love people, I'd be at some corporation with my little law degree.
And I think
Just
deep down
chilling.
inside, like I've come to learn us through this Happy Monkey journey, that it's mostly all speculation. When you get everybody in the same room, humanity takes over. Because we all got problems. We all are in the pursuit of happiness. We just heard that these people act like this, and we heard these people act like that. But a lot of times when you throw everybody in the room, humanity takes over.
Right on.
But it's just that it's just the everybody don't come in the room as often.
That's it.
I think
right?
that's the biggest issue.
But who's telling us we can't sit down with each other? The
Mm-hmm.
Democratic Party and the Republican Party.
That's crazy.
Why the fuck would we need them if we could talk to each
if
other
we could just talk, man. That's all it takes, man.
and figure shit out for ourselves? Right? Could you imagine? Like, could you imagine if we figured out how much cannabis helps people's health? Like, we have this knowledge, right? But why isn't everybody talking about it? Because Big Pharma's going to lose a lot of money, bro. Like,
Yes.
25,000 uses, medically, environmental, Hawk, everything you could think of.
come on.
And in reality, like, you know, some people use cigarettes and use alcohol. Cannabis just makes you fucking feel good. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
That's why I'm giving you some numbers, because, you know, I'm a numbers guy, right, Hawk? Just in case you know it's, and it's going to make sense to you when I break it down at the end. Top 10 cities in the world that consume cannabis, right, Hawk? There's only 3 in the United States. Number 8 is Chicago. Number 4 is LA. Number 1 in the world by far, pound for pound, is New York City. We consume 75 tons, 150,000 pounds a year. Because this is a stressful city, Hawk. People need to take the edge off.
Yeah, absolutely. Jesus Christ.
So
that's
that
a lot of
also
weed.
that also goes into, so our people and all people can understand out there that are listening the magnitude of the transfer of wealth that I mentioned earlier is going to happen when it goes fully here. That's why it's a lot of back and forth, because it's like unleashing a volcano. They got to make sure they're going to catch all the lava in New York.
Yeah. You got to. So we just got to make sure we got a seat at the table. And I'm going to tell you the truth. You call me. You let me know what's what. We'll devise a plan. We'll figure out how to get us some equity in this.
absolutely.
You know? We'll figure out how to get some equity in this fight. Because I just want to ensure that our people have equal access into the industry. But also that those tax dollars go right back into the communities that were hurt when they were enforcing these laws,
Absolutely.
right? And giving our kids opportunities. Like that's what we need, right? That's another level of healing.
That's basically what it is.
That's another level of healing.
Yes,
man.
it is.
Like,
Yes,
for
it
real.
is.
Hawk, it's time for the $1 million question that we ask every guest that's ever been on Happy Monkey.
Wait, y'all ain't smoking? That's because of me?
No, I guess let me get something to smoke. I guess.
Yeah, like I hope you're not.
We've been being nice. We were being nice.
Nah,
So, Hawk,
please,
the $1
burn
million
it down.
question is that everybody who acts on Happy Monkey here comes here. You knowing about the brand, the movement, the podcast, the space. If you had to describe it in one word, what it represents, what one word would it be?
Equity. I see.
Nobody ever used that one.
Yeah, nobody actually knows.
Right on. I see
Why equity?
young entrepreneurs, black, brown men, like at the forefront of an industry, doing it with integrity, doing it with honor, and doing it with heart. This is how business should be ran. I look around at your employees; they are people of color, right? Outside of that, the aesthetics. Come on, you got Bob Marley on the wall. You know what I mean? Like they record music in this joint.
Absolutely,
You know what I mean? It's
absolutely.
really a cool space to be in. But equity would be the word. Like y'all
Thank
getting
you, man.
y'all
That's a
share.
Humble.
Like, yeah.
Thank you for those
Right on.
kind words, man.
Absolutely.
Definitely helps to see that, all the blood, sweat, and tears isn't for no reason. Have people like you acknowledging us.
What you got
that,
there, man?
That we look up to in the community. You know what I mean? That makes us see that all our efforts are not in vain. Hawk.
I'm with you. I don't know, man. I'm sober. I'm living this sober life, right? But the psychic said I'd be 91 when I die, right? I think somewhere around 86, maybe 87, I'm going to go out on my yacht, right? And I'm going to just fire one up. Like I'm going to fire one up. I got another cool weed story for you.
I'll take it. We'll take it.
College graduation, right?
Yes,
it took
sir.
me long enough,
Yes,
right? My mother cried because, let me tell you, I had 2-3 arrests for selling weed, 3 more arrests for smoking it. So I was there, right?
Yeah, she.
So
Yeah, you a part
and
of the statistics.
I was a statistic, and I was always getting in trouble. I told you I dropped out. So when I went to college, like my family went crazy. They couldn't believe it. Like,
They
thank
threw a
God,
party.
right? But to graduate, because I didn't stop messing up once I went into college.
People don't understand
Yeah.
how big that is from where we come from. When
That's
somebody
it.
goes to college, it's like it's huge.
Amen. So I had this friend called Boskar, right? He was like one of the world's greatest tennis players when he was younger. We in college and we used to smoke. And the funny thing is, he was Pakistani, right? But he knew every word to every Snoop Dogg song, right? But he would rap with that accent. So hey, it's graduation day. And we rolled up the fattest Godfather, fam. And
Godfather.
Packed it. I mean, you know what I mean?
Real
Just-
New Yorker.
Yeah, oh
You
yeah.
know what a Godfather is.
Godfather. Yeah. So we smoked it, and his eyes were like two big glass balls, and I was high as a kite. And we walked into graduation, and the professors was just looking at us like, oh, how dare you? But like, it was a celebration. It was a celebration, man.
Never
We
gonna
made it.
forget that Godfather, huh?
Yeah. And to be perfectly honest, that's how I supported myself through college,
Basically.
selling bud.
There's a lot
Listen
of
to
white
me.
folks that come here and tell us the same thing.
A large
So-
part of entrepreneurs that I've ever met have had the same story when it comes to college.
Right on. I used to make a killing because I didn't have the greatest bud, but I don't sleep. Like even now,
so
I don't
you
go
were
to
ready.
sleep
Yeah,
until
you were
4 o'clock.
always
So
available.
everybody would always come by, man. Those were the good old days, bro. Those were the good old days. Right on. Is that a Dutch?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I used to always joke that I was the tall dude. No, I want the rapper. I used to always joke that I was the tall dude on the rapper. You know, the one with the big hat leaning over?
Yeah. So what's funny
Right.
about that little story? See, I went to Amsterdam a couple years ago, and I went to the museum. I forgot museum. What was it? I think it was the Van Gogh one. And the tour guide kind of told us a little story about that actual picture. So that actual picture is missing like 2 people on it. I bought the picture. It's at home, the fridge magnet and shit. So the actual picture of that, right? So in Amsterdam, what used to be is like what New York is now, right? It's pretty much the trading center of the world. That's what it was back then, right? So back then, the only people who can afford to take pictures or to get your painting pictured were people that got money.
Yeah.
So most of those folks, those guys that are on the Dutch rap, they're just 5 random dudes that had money and say,
Yeah.
yo, come on, let's take this selfie type shit. You know what I
that's
mean?
dope.
So
That's
that's
dope.
basically
Let's
what that
have
is.
Tech King paying us because we got the bread to pay him
Exactly.
to paint us.
Uh-huh.
And that's the
That's what went down.
And that's crazy,
yeah.
man.
So 4 of them were merchants, and like the 5th person was just a merchant's employee. He just happened to be there, type shit. So they like leave him there so it can look, so the picture can look complete, type of shit. So that's a little bit of story about
history.
the Dutch history. Yeah.
Right on.
There you go.
Good old days.
Yes, sir.
I thought everybody used raps now.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people still use
Remember, we
joints.
a little old school, man.
I still
Yeah.
use my
Remember,
Dutch.
yeah.
Yeah, I
For
break
real.
down my Dutch and do all the good
You
stuff.
know?
Yeah.
Stuff.
Everybody smoke raw now, right? Raw
Yeah, the
paper.
raw paper. They do
What happened to
that.
Easy Water and
Oh,
Bamboo?
vibes. They do vibes now.
Vibes.
Raw, backwoods. And I mean, that's all.
What happened
new,
to Easy Water?
That's the all new generation, man.
No more easy
No more
riders.
Easy Water?
Telling you.
Yeah.
Definitely, my brother.
I think the last thing for me was Backwoods. Like Backwoods, that was the last thing I was smoking before I
I
quit.
can't do backwards. They're a little bit strong for me.
They're harsh.
They're a little bit harsh
Yeah.
for me. So I'll do the Dutch with no wrap. I'll just do the inside paper.
Okay.
Yo, Hawk, man, it's been an honor and a pleasure to have
Super
a
honor.
legend and a civil rights icon like yourself here, man, to really come and bond with us and share your experiences with cannabis and your whole journey through your life, man. Thank you for gracing our podcast with your presence, man. And,
Absolutely, my
you know,
brother.
we're here at your service 100%, man.
I appreciate y'all, man. Thank you, the Happy Monkey family, for really just doing what you're doing for the culture and being at the forefront of this fight for us, for equity. I guess it's honorable.
Yeah, it's
I'm
basically
just
what
happy
it
to
is.
be here, for real.
Oh man, definitely. I can't thank you enough because to be honest, you know, motherfuckers from the hood like us would never in a lifetime think that we'll be doing a podcast with the leader from the Black Lives Matter. So you know, there's a lot for us. You know, so we're humbled and definitely appreciative. of your time, my friend.
Yo, I appreciate that, man. But when you be saying all these great things, I be waiting for somebody else to walk through the door.
So, guys, everybody out there in Happy Monkey World, I want y'all to have a blessed one.
Absolutely.
And you already know, always tune into Happy Monkey Podcast, social media, merchandise, all of the above.
All the good stuff.
And till the next episode, peace, love, and happiness out there in Happy Monkey World.
Absolutely. Before we go, please, Mr. Newsome, please tell them where they can find you, how they can support you, all the good shit.
Okay. IG, Instagram, it's hawk.newsome, HAWK.NEWSOM as in man, E. Twitter is I am Hawk Newsome. And our website is Black Lives Matter, spelled out, greaterny.com. And I just want to say God bless all of y'all listening. If I could leave you with something, just if you have an opinion, research your beliefs and just develop well-rounded opinions, especially when we're talking about matters that really hurt and are harmful and impact people. So if your opinion is contrary to something that you hear me saying, please research it. Just do that for me. And then reach back out. If you still believe what you believe and it's contrary, DM me and we can argue it out. All right? Maybe I'll learn something in the process. But God bless.
Everybody, let's give my brother
One
a round of applause.
Thank you, my brother Hawk. Absolute pleasure. Happy Monkey World. We'll see you another time. God bless. My nigga Ralph. Peace.
What's good, everybody? This is your nigga Ralph, trying to keep you fresh with the info from Happy Monkey every single podcast. You already know what it is. If you haven't followed us yet, follow us on Instagram at HappyMunkey_ or Happy Monkey Goodies. Now remember, that's monkey with a U. Also, if you haven't checked us out, we're on YouTube. So check out our channel, Happy Monkey TV. Keep us current, live, and everything with the culture.